Hello, welcome. It's me, Monica, your physical therapist, your yoga instructor. I'm here to guide you today in an awesome, gentle or hard, whatever you decide to make it, yoga practice today. And I'm here to just offer guidance. So make this whatever you need. These are just recommendations, and let's get started in child's pose. So we're going to come down onto your knees and back onto your heels, and then reaching forward, forehead coming down onto the ground. And just arrive here. Listen to your body, listen to your breath. Just notice how you feel and settle into the moment. Begin to deepen your breath. And notice whatever thoughts come into your mind. So noticing if you're feeling any certain emotions, if you're feeling any sort of thoughts coming through your mind. I just want you to observe here and be mindful of where your mind is going. Coming up into all fours, we're going to arch the spine up, and then the other way, lifting the tailbone and the head. A couple more times, just moving through cat and cow. Before you eventually come to a seated position where we'll set our intention for the class. So crossing your legs or sitting on your heels, maybe bringing your hands to your heart. So we kind of checked in with the mind, with the body. Maybe you'd like to set an intention for this practice of moving through a certain emotion, accepting a certain element of your life, forgiving someone or something, whatever you feel like you need right now that you wish would be easier, something that you need to work through. Allow this yoga practice to be your moving meditation to work through whatever that challenge may be. Whatever you need. Maybe you need more peacefulness, more love. Breathing in that intention and breathing it out. Reaching the arms up above the head and then side bending to your right. Stretching long. Feeling that in the side body. Coming back up and reaching over to the other side. Great. Coming back up, hands come together at the heart, and then you're going to come onto all fours and move into a little squat position. So a yoga squat position. So maybe you're on your heels, maybe you're on your tiptoes, maybe palms come together again. Grounding here. Feeling strong, feeling tall, feeling steady. Bringing the hands down, moving into a forward fold. So keep your knees soft here, at least a little bend. Or if your hamstrings feel a little tight, maybe you're bending a lot. Something that happens when you fold forward in a variety of positions is that your low back likes to compete for the stretch with the hamstrings. But most people do not need to stretch their low back. Hamstrings is a little bit more important. So the way you do that is to try to keep your back more straight when you're bending, and then you'll get more of a stretch in your legs. If you let your back bend, you're stretching your back more than your legs. We want stability in the back, so we're not going to stretch it too much. And then we're going to come up with the hands, reaching up, palms come together, and down to the heart. I really commend you guys for showing up to this practice, and I really encourage you to see it through and challenge yourself to get something out of this. So just showing up, I'm really proud of you. Finding your mountain pose, you're going to bring your feet underneath your hips and face your palms forward. Draw your shoulder blades back behind you and kind of try to align your spine. So what I mean by that is you're drawing the shoulder blades together, but don't press them down. They stay level and you bring them back. Slightly bring the chin down, lengthening through the back of your neck. Drawing in the lower abdominals, pulling the belly button back towards the spine to control the whole lumbar area. And keep your knees soft, not locked out. Breathe. Inhale to reach the arms up. Exhale, swan dive forward, soft knees. Inhale, halfway lift, long spine. Exhale, fold, and step the left foot far back. Coming into a runner's lunge, and then lowering the back knee down, untucking the toes. Reach up for a low lunge here. In your low lunge, your right knee and toes are facing the same direction. You should feel a little bit of a stretch in the left hip flexor in the front of the hip. And if you don't really, maybe you shift the hips forward a little bit more so you get more of a stretch on this hip. Beautiful. Breathe. Maybe you take a side bend to the right. You can bring the hand to the floor or the hip as you stretch to the right. Continue to breathe. Reaching back up, inhale. Exhale, hands come down to frame the right foot. Holding here in this runner's lunge position. And if anything feels particularly nice and you want to hold it longer than I cue, please feel empowered to do so. And if something doesn't quite feel good or you don't feel like doing it, then try doing your own thing and just see if the next thing appeals to you. Twisting open to the right, keep the left hand down, reach to the sky. Maybe you take a little bind here, bending the back knee and reaching for the foot with the hand, opening up through the chest. And then bringing that down if you had the bind. And we're coming back up to a low lunge, reaching up, breathing deeply. All right, so from here, I want you to bring your hands to your heart, and we're going to shift our weight into the right foot and move into balancing on the right. So the way that we would do that is shifting the weight forward and lifting off the back knee and lifting the left knee up. Reach your arms up above your head once you find your balance. And then on the exhale, hands come down and the knee comes back to where it was. We're going to try that a few times. So inhale, come up, reach up. Exhale, come down. Try to be as controlled as you can and control using your abdominals. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. 2 more with your own breath. I'm sure whatever you're doing, it's beautiful, it's lovely. You're moving mindfully. That was the last one. Bringing the hands down and stepping the feet back into a plank or knee plank. Shifting onto your tiptoes, you're going to slowly lower down, keeping the elbows in close towards your rib cage. Untucking the toes, lift up for a baby cobra, hovering the hands off the ground, keeping your gaze down at the ground. Exhale down. Inhale, lift up for a plank, and exhaling to downward dog. Maybe shake the head out, yes and no. You can pedal the feet out. Whatever sounds good to you here. We're using our home yoga program as an opportunity to really tune in and let the ego go. So you're not in front of a bunch of other yoga students. You're just focusing on what you and your body, what you need, what you enjoy, so that when you do go back to a yoga classroom, you can remove a little bit more ego from the situation and just feel and breathe and do what feels good, regardless of what the people around you are doing. All right, we're gonna walk the hands back towards the feet and find a forward fold. Head hanging, soft knees, and then curling the spine up towards mountain pose. Reaching the arms up, inhale. Exhale, find a chair pose by sitting back and reaching up. You should be able to see your toes when you look down. Fantastic, go a little bit lower. And then forward fold, beautiful. Walking yourself out to your downward dog. Maybe you take a vinyasa, a yoga push-up here. Maybe you stay in downward dog. But wherever you are, you're moving with your breath. You're moving with ease. Trying to find some grace and slowness in your movements. And then walking the feet up towards the hands, taking your time. And then when you're ready, we're going to step the right foot far back, coming into your runner's lunge. Dropping the back knee down, and then untucking the toes, coming to your low lunge on the left side. So here again, you might feel a stretch in the right hip flexor. If you don't quite feel it, you could try shifting forward and see if that feels all right for you. Everybody's hips are built differently, and you might want to avoid certain ranges, certain end ranges. So just listen to your body and what feels right. Maybe taking a side bend to the left. Left hand can come to the hip or the floor. Feeling that stretch through the right side of your body. Remember to breathe. And then reaching it back up towards the sky, and then bringing the hands down to frame the left foot, twisting open to the left. Opening up through the chest. Maybe you take a bind here with that back foot. Opening up through the chest even further if you have this bind. Beautiful, bringing it down and setting up for our kind of dynamic balance movement. So to do that, you start with the hands at your heart, and then you kind of launch onto the left foot and come into a balance on the left foot and reach the arms up. Exhaling down. Inhaling up. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Last two. Beautiful. Coming back down into your child's pose, or you're welcome to take a couple push-ups or take a downward dog. Letting your head rest if you are in child's pose. Just letting go of the practice so far. Noticing where the mind is wandering and just letting it be okay. And then bringing your awareness back to the present, back to your breath, back to how your body feels. And then bringing yourself up to all fours and then to your downward facing dog. Lifting the right leg up. And then lunging the right foot forward in between the hands. Setting up again in that runner's lunge. And you're going to lift up into a high lunge. And I'm going to face this way. Great, so setting up into your high lunge. And we're going to turn this into a warrior one. So hop that left foot up and out a little bit. And just like a high lunge, but now your foot's on the ground. And you're going to reach up and make a sword with your fingertips. So point your fingers together. Awesome. Think about drawing in the lower abdominals here. So the lower abdominals wrap from the spine all around to the front. So it's almost like a corset action when the muscle is turned on. So it kind of holds the spine in an ideal posture. So it's like a really important postural muscle. So when I say pull your belly button back towards your spine, we're turning on the deep lower abdominals, which really helps with posture and protecting the low back. I'm sure you're doing a great job. We're going to open it up to a warrior two. So now you're going to turn the left heel to face the left, and you're lunging through the right leg, reaching the arms out to the side. And oftentimes in warrior two, we will look over the right fingertips, but sometimes I like looking forward, just whatever floats your boat. Just think about a nice long spine, like a string pulling you up from the crown of your head towards the ceiling. Keep breathing. And then we'll take this into a reverse triangle. Straighten the right leg. Left hand comes lightly to the left leg as you reach up and back through the right arm. Feeling that stretch kind of in the side body. Good, and then bringing the arms out straight, we're going to take this into triangles. So tipping yourself to bring the right hand to the shin or the floor or your ankle, and then reaching up with the left arm. So triangle pose, there's a lot going on. Your legs are straight with maybe a micro bend so they're not locked out. And you're using this muscle in between your shoulder blades called the middle trapezius. It's another important postural muscle. You use it to draw the shoulder blades together. Awesome. Let's turn this into a little side bend as well, arching that left arm over the left ear. Try not to put too much weight into your right hand. If you can hover it off, that's great. All right, bringing yourself back up to a T, and we're going to turn all 10 toes to face the front. From here, bringing your hands to your hips, we're going to hinge forward at the hips, coming to a wide-legged forward fold. Hands come down to the ground, and if it feels good, let your head hang heavy, maybe shake it out. Take a deep breath in here and out. Maybe heel toe the feet out a little bit wider, and you could come down onto your forearms or the crown of your head. We will be coming back into this pose, so if you're hoping to do a headstand or a forearm stand, if you don't want to do it now, you'll have another opportunity, and I'll give you some pointers. And you can always leave comments about questions about yoga poses, and I'd be happy to answer them. So let's walk our way back, however you're oriented. Just make your way back to a downward dog. Let's go through a little vinyasa, unless you want to take a break. Coming up onto your tippy toes into a plank. Exhaling to lower halfway or all the way. Inhaling for a back bend, maybe a baby cobra or upward dog. And then exhaling to come back to down dog. This time, reaching the right leg up and lunging it forward. Oh, that's a lie. Left foot. Whichever side you didn't do, we're doing that one. Okay, so we're moving into a high lunge. And think about turning on the lower abdominals here. Belly button pulls back towards the spine. It's the same muscles that help you exhale, actually. So when you exhale, the belly should come in. It's those muscles. Turning this into a warrior one. Hop the right foot up and out a little bit. The heel comes down. Pointer fingers, make a sword. If you've watched my other videos, you'll learn the warrior stories. But the sword in Warrior 1 is to kill your ego. This is true. This is a thing. All 3 warriors tell a story about killing your ego. So raise your sword to all the judgment and negativity in your life. Die. Kill the negativity. You don't need it. And opening it up, it just got dark in here, if you noticed. Opening it up to Warrior 2. So you're in this nice, you're almost like a wall. You're using your left glutes to make sure your knees and toes are all in a line. The other leg is also in this line. And then you're lengthening through the torso, through the whole spine, including your neck. So you're in this one, you're in this plane, you're flat. Good. And then you're straightening the left leg, reaching up and back with the left arm. Reverse triangle. And then coming back to a T, and then shifting forward. Bring the left fingertips down to the shin, ankle, floor, or an object to bring the floor closer to you, using the middle trapezius to squeeze the shoulder blades together. Beautiful. You can look forward, you can look up, you could look down. Maybe turning this into a side bend over the ear. Coming back up to the center, and we're going back into our wide-legged forward fold. So I'm going to give you a couple pointers if you're feeling a headstand, if you're feeling a forearm stand. You also could just hang out in a wide-legged forward fold, or take another hard yoga pose you've been working on, or you could just lay down. You could skip this part. So lots of options. So if you want to do a headstand, this is the one I prefer, is the one where you put your head in your hand basket, because when you put your head directly on the floor, it's just more force on the head versus this one. You're supporting with your forearms a lot more. You're using your strength. So if you're doing that, to make the hand basket, you interlace your fingers like this. And what happens is you put this structure on the ground, and you put your forehead on the ground, and you roll your head into this kind of locking mechanism. So you start on your knees, make the basket, elbows down, forehead down, roll. See how I roll my head, the crown of my head into my hands, and then I lift my feet, or I lift my knees. You walk as close as you can. And then the two ways to get up are, if you're pretty flexible, you can just kind of lift up. The other way would be to kind of create a little egg position. And this is the one that I feel like is really easy. If there's a wall right here, and you could go up against the wall, and you could make your little egg, and then it's like, oh, the wall's right there. And then it's like, you're not super far from the ground. You're just in this little egg. So you can always have a wall behind you, and then maybe you practice lifting the legs up. If you do have your headstand and you don't really know what else you can do, you can always move the legs around. You could try to stretch a little bit and switch. Learn to get some control. Just some disclaimers. If you have neck issues, just probably don't balance on your head before you see a physical therapist. If it hurts, don't do it. It's just a fun thing if it feels all right. You can always work on a handstand against the wall, forearm stand against the wall. So just some fun pointers. So let's come down from that, whatever you have, or maybe you were just having a stretch, and we're gonna go onto our backs. So, and don't worry, we're not done stretching. There's more to be done. So laying down onto your back, just rotating your head side to side, and then make a little ball with your body. Maybe lift the head up, get into a tight little ball, and then relaxing the head and shoulders down, dropping the knees over to the right, and then actually kind of coming into a fetal position. So your shoulders are stacked and your hips are stacked. And then we're going to turn this into an opening of the upper back. So you're going to, alligator arms here. You're going to open up the top arm. And I don't reach the ground. It just depends on your body And if this bothers your shoulder, then maybe you let the hips open up. But if it doesn't, maybe you keep your hips stacked and you just kind of feel the stretch as you open up through the shoulder and upper body here. If it feels very intense to hold this, you could just do repetitions instead, where you kind of come back and then go back. Remember to breathe. Bringing yourself back and then switching to the other side. So on your left side, you're in your fetal position. Alligator arms, the hips are stacked, and then opening up through the upper body. You might notice a difference between the two sides. I feel like I can get a lot further on this side. And you're breathing, and you're enjoying the sensations of the stretch of laying on the ground. And then bringing yourself back and pressing yourself up to a seated position. And we're going to do a little hip opener before we kind of relax. So you have a couple options. You know, hips are tricky. Everyone has different hip sockets, hip bones, and everything. So I never would want anyone to force any kind of stretch. It should just feel like a gentle tension, and it shouldn't feel bad. So just that disclaimer there. You could take a regular pigeon pose. You could take a pigeon pose on your back, but I'm going to show you fire log pose if you're interested. So fire log is very similar to just cross-legged, but like intense. So if you're going to stretch your right hip, you bring the right ankle over the left knee. So notice my left leg is down and I'm stacking. So the concept behind it is like the yogis say you're supposed to have these like on top of each other like a stack of firewood. So most people's hips are not like that. I don't think I would ever want mine to move that way. I'd have a lot of problems. So maybe you look like me. Maybe your body is different and a little bit more flexible. So just go with it. Maybe you take pigeon, maybe you take a different stretch if stretching your hips in this way is not good for you. So if you have fire log pose, you also could fold forward. If you feel like you're not that stiff here, folding forward is not an option for me, but you always could do that. So what we're getting at with this is external rotation of the hip, and you're stretching the structures in the back of your hip and your glutes. So you might feel that here. If you just have knee pain or hip pain, you could always do a hamstring stretch or something else. Okay, let's switch sides. Whatever stretch you're doing, switch sides. Notice the difference between the sides. Whatever is going on, that's A-okay. Remember to breathe. And the same principle goes here for the low back. Your low back is always competing for the stretch. So if you're like bending a lot in your low back, you're maybe getting less of a stretch in the hips. But if you keep the back a little bit more straight, it's more focused on the hips and the purpose of the exercise. Awesome. Hold anything as long as you need. Do whatever you need. But if you are ready for final Shavasana, please stick with me. It'll be so nice, I promise. You can lay on your back. You could put your legs up a wall. So if you haven't done that before, it feels pretty nice. You just get your bottom really close to the wall. And then you put your legs up it. Like this. Yeah, so That's one option. Or just laying in regular Shavasana or sitting up. Closing your eyes, letting my voice guide you as we kind of journey through a little bit of mindfulness, a little bit of self-love, whatever it is you need here. We're going to try to touch on it. So I want you to unclench your jaw. I want you to let your eyeballs fall deep into their sockets. Relax your tongue away from the roof of your mouth. Let your body sink into the ground. Please notice if you're holding any tension, any muscles that you could relax here. So most of the time we have a kind of face that we put on for the world, and might take some effort, depending on who you are, to be the person you are out with everyone else, with the public. And so I just want you to kind of imagine any external you can just melt away here. And we're just kind of getting down to your raw self, just in this moment. Who are you? How do you feel? What is your authentic self? You're just you being you on this mat, without any mask, without any filter. You're just you. If I knew your name, I would say your name. So what does it feel like just laying here, just in this raw state, where you're just letting yourself be here, be yourself, be present. And this you that you are laying here, just breathing, just being present, this you is such an awesome, perfect, great version of you. You right now, it's enough. It's how you need to be. You're exactly where you need to be. This version of you every version of you is so worthy of good things coming your way. Even if you don't feel like all of this is true, you do have this inherent worthiness of being loved, worthiness of success, worthiness of cool opportunities, worthiness of being accepted. Just inherently, by being you, you deserve all these things. So just remind yourself of that in this moment. And then bring your hands to your heart, and we'll have just a little smidge of silence where I want you to notice the thoughts going by in your mind. And rather than like thinking the thoughts that come up, I want to see if you can notice a thought, like, oh, my mind wants me to think about that. Now my mind wants me to think about that. And I just want you to witness, like be a research observer for the next 30 seconds. And maybe you notice that just by doing that, the thoughts begin to slow down perhaps. So give yourself a moment to observe. All right, interesting, good job. Take a deep breath in and out. Maybe you're ready to roll onto one side and make your way up to sitting, or you can stay here as long as you want if you want to keep researching your mind and collecting data. If you're ready to finish up, you can join me in sitting. Maybe remind yourself of why you're here, what your intention was, what positive aspects of this practice you can carry with you outside. And this yoga class was not about doing things perfectly. It wasn't even about being perfectly mindful or meditative or calm. You might feel about the same. You might feel like crap. Maybe you feel really good. None of that really matters. It's just the fact that you showed up and that you have a body that can do this. There's just so much to be grateful for, and you're doing a really good job of showing up for yourself. So thank yourself, thank your body. It is what it is. Just let it all go here. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. It's absolute honor and pleasure to share this with you. I love being part of this really unique community. Again, any questions you can leave in the comments. I'll try to look if you are trying to figure out anything yoga related. So love you guys. Take care.